I'm calling today's meeting of the Public Service Subcommittee to order. Madam Chairman, please take our roll.
Madam Chairman, sure.
Did I say Chairman? Madam Secretary, please take our
Let's
roll.
go with the first one.
It's been a long day.
Alexander, Dixie, Eldridge, Johnson, Kiesling, Powers, Rudder. You have a quorum.
Do we have any personal orders or recognitions from our members? Seeing none, we're going to take up our regular calendar. Item number 1 is House Bill 13 by Representative Baum, but that has been rolled for 1 week. Item number 2, House Bill 1004 by Representative Darby. You have a motion and a second, and you're free to discuss your bill, and you have an amendment. Would you give me your drafting code?
005651.
That's correct. We have a motion and a second on your amendment. If there are no objections, let's go ahead and get that amendment on the bill. All in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment's on the bill. Please explain your bill.
Thank you, Chair Lady and Committee. Good afternoon. This bill was brought to me by the speakers, and there are several hundreds of boards that govern us. Lawyers, doctors, plumbers, electricians, all have boards or commissions that govern and promulgate the rules. If these board members are not carrying their weight and not following the direction of the legislation, this gives us the ability to replace them.
Okay.
And with that, I stand for questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions from our members? Yes, Representative Dixie. We're on item 2, House Bill 1004.
Okay, I just saw a couple things. A quick question. I think one of the things is changing the word from gender to sex in here. What's the difference?
You're recognized.
Could you tell me where that was at?
On page, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the marked calendar, so I don't have let me get on the bill. Sorry about that. We can move forward.
Okay.
If not, I can catch
Do
you
we have
afterwards.
any more
please.
questions from anyone? Are we ready to vote? Call for question. Question's been called. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and you move on to full committee.
Thank you, Chair Lady and Committee.
Thank you. Now we're moving to House Bill 3, HJR 45 by Representative Ritchie. Do we have a motion and a second? He's not here. Okay, we'll just move this one to the Hill. Next up is, this one's House Bill item number 4, House Bill 422, also by Representative Ritchie, but that one has been rolled for 2 weeks. Item number 5 is it's off notice. It's House Bill 1160 by Chairman Todd. It's off notice. House Bill 1160 has been taken off notice. This bill has been calendared 3 times in this committee. Per the House rules, HB 1160 is sent to the special calendar to be published with the final calendar. Next up is item number 6, and this is House Bill 302 by Representative Jones, and it has been taken off notice. Also, House Bill 302 has been taken off notice. This bill has been calendared 3 times in this committee per the House rules. HB 302 is sent to special calendar to be published with the final calendar. Okay, now we're at item number 7, which is House Bill 449 by Representative Davis. Do I have a motion and a second on this bill? No. Well, my goodness, Hill. Rolling this one to the Hill. Next up is House Bill number 8 Item number 8, House Bill 1375 by Chairman Reagan. Do I have a motion and a second? There are no amendments filed, and Chairman, you are recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. This bill essentially reconstitutes the Historical Commission. The purpose is to create a better balance in its membership, appointing authority, and the membership perspective. Voting membership appointments by this bill would be divided equally between the House, the Senate, and the Governor. The Governor would still appoint non-voting experts as ex officio. The new voting composition would be 15 members instead of the previously required 24, and there are still 5 ex officio members on it. And it would be more representative of the entire state, less cumbersome, and more efficient. A smaller commission, by definition, can be more economical because the cost of travel and so forth is obviously less. Specifically regarding the membership qualifications and appointment origin, it requires a minimum number of members from each grand division, requires at least 3 people on the commission to have academic background in the history or historic preservation or both, and maintains the requirements to have at least 1 member over 60 and 1 member of a racial minority. The gubernatorial appointed expert membership is unchanged. This reconstitution bill staggers the terms for the entire commission to avoid turmoil from changing everything at once. By way of emphasis, let me stress again, the goal of this bill is to establish balance of powers. That is to say, right now the governor appoints everybody, and this bill will change that so that the appointing authority is split between gubernatorial and legislative. With that explanation, I stand ready to answer questions.
Do we have any questions for our sponsor? Chairman Kiesling?
Sorry, thank you, Chair Lady. Not necessarily at this moment to the sponsor. I was just wondering, are there? Do you have testimony request for testimony from the commission or anyone else?
If we do have someone present, if you would like to hear from them. You would?
Yeah, I would like to, please.
So we're going to invite Ms. Dorita Williams with the Historical Commission up to talk with us.
Hello. My name is Dorita Coleman Williams, and I'm the chairman of the Tennessee Historical Commission. I'm the first woman to be the chairman in the 104 years that the commission has existed. So we have a long history, so I'm happy to answer any questions. I believe that's my purpose for standing here.
It is. Chairman Kiesling.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So you don't have a statement then regarding this? Are you in opposition, or are you?
I do have. I thought I was.
What would you like to?
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I was to answer questions. Absolutely, I do not feel that this is a bill that would be a good bill to disrupt the operating order of a commission that has been operating very efficiently. We have 24 appointed members. Of those appointed members, many of them have letters of recommendation from members of the General Assembly. And I think Commissioner Ray Smith, that serves on the commission, may have had a letter of recommendation from Representative Reagan. I do have commissioners here with me that I would like to recognize that they're dedicated people that serve the state in a non-paid position. And I'm going to just recognize them. We have Doris McMillan, who is from Franklin, and she has a lot of expertise and interest in African American studies and diversity of inclusion of history in the state. At the end, raise your hands. We have Ann Topovich, who is the retired executive director of the Tennessee Historical Society. Many of you know that organization and read their publications. And then next, we have Commissioner Kim Hinton, who is also from Williamson County. and he is the lead designer on the Bicentennial Mall that many of you walk over every day and see, and also the lead designer of the new wonderful State Library and Archives building that I know all of you have been into. And then next to him is Dan Pomeroy, the former chief curator at the Tennessee State Museum. So I think you can see the sort of expertise we have on the commission. We are a commission that's operating efficiently. It seems to me to totally disrupt a commission that has been operating efficiently to kind of have what I'm going to call a fruit basket turnover, so that we no longer are an operating commission that has oversight function over a staff of 20.
I want to interject something right here. I've made a mistake. I didn't go out of session before I invited you up, so we are officially out of session. Do you have a, yes, Representative Alexander.
Thank you for being with us today, and thank all of you for everything you do. I have some real concerns about totally dismantling a commission and starting all new. I mean, you guys are in the positions you're in because of your expertise, because of the job you have done so far, and I'd rather not see us undo it. Sometimes, as legislators, we use a sawed-off shotgun when a BB gun would have done the trick. And so I think there is another bill out there. I believe it maybe is 1020. Let me see if I can pull it up and I can tell you, which would just give you all another commission that would do the legal part, because I know you're having to hear a lot of legal arguments right now, and it's been very difficult, a lot to process. And I do like that bill, but I just wanted to tell you thank you for what you do, and I hope as a committee we don't disrupt a historical commission that has been historically very good for many, many years. Thank you.
Thank you for that support. And I'm glad to lend any expertise on what the Historical Commission does each and every day.
Chairman Johnson, I think you were.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Of your 24 members, do they all participate?
You know, we have a really incredible group that's really become very engaged. I have served as the chairman. This is my second term. I just started, so I'm served the remainder of it. So this is about 3 years into a term because the former chairman died, and we have really had improved participation and engaged committees that are functioning and really serving in an oversight capacity, which is what a commission is supposed to do, because there's a lot of great work that goes on with battlefields, with historic sites, with markers around the state, with a lot of the National Register properties that are being funded. And so we have an engaged commission. We really do. And so I think just to disrupt a commission and a committee and committees that are working well seems to be disruptive to government to me.
Is Steve McDaniel on the commission?
You know, I have tried my best to get your friends, Steve McDaniel, to be on the commission. Matter of fact, each and every time I drive through Parker's Crossroads, I call him and say, are you sure you don't want to be on the Tennessee Historical Commission? He has been very actively involved, as you know, and I have referred to him as one of the fathers and supporters of Tennessee history, along with some other great members of the General Assembly in the past. But he will not accept that, and although obviously I don't do those appointments, but I have extended that and told him we would love to have him. But I can't convince him. If you can, that'd be great.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you, Madam Chair.
I think next up we have Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is more of a history question. I've never understood why you fall under the Tennessee Department of Economic Communities, or I'm sorry, Environment and Conservation. Why would it fall under that particular category?
We're administratively attached to the Department of Environment and Conservation. and as you may know, it was previously the Department of Conservation, but I may have to ask somebody in a higher pay level than me with government. While we're there, I guess everybody has to be put under some umbrella, and that's the one. That's the one we got.
That was
But we're
what he'd
admini-
already told me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're administratively attached. So we're administratively attached, which is the definition.
And I didn't even realize it was just the Tennessee Department of Conservation at one time and at some point it had changed. So that probably.
Yeah,
the reason.
and that I think if you think about the conservation, that may make sense.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Next, we have Representative Dixie.
Thank you, Chair Lady. I just kind of wanted to express my support and enthusiasm for what you do. Dr. Revis Mitchell was a church member of mine, and I went to school with four of his sons, and I knew the commitment that he put forth in the effort of doing his job, not only at Fisk, but even for the church, the things he did. And he was a wonderful historian, and the commitment and the expertise that he brought to that board, I think that was one of the most important things that I could ever think of. And he was very revered, and I know he's missed, and that's a big hole to fill, but I think you're doing a great job.
Well, I tried my best. There were big shoes to fill. I filled the remainder of his term because he passed away, as you well know, in June. And I was very honored to fill the remainder of Dr. Mitchell's term as the chairman of the commission.
A quick question. And
You're
I think-
recognized.
I'm sorry. I think maybe you can answer this. Right now, each member is required to have some level of expertise to be on the board.
There
On the
is
commission
the
side.
statutory requirement, but recently the academic level that is represented on the commission has just really increased. I can't tell you how much, and it's through the support of members of the General Assembly that have written letters of support for people to be appointed and reappointed to the commission. So this is just reflective. This is just the group that I could say, please come and let people see faces of the expertise of, and I want to say, with this, the savings, these are non-paid people that commit their time. I drove here from to Nashville from Memphis today. So, that's the kind of commitment that is represented on the commission. And so I think to say a savings is for non-paid people that are donating their time to say history is not to be taken slightly with that.
Thank you.
Next on our list is Representative Alexander.
I just wanted to tell you, because I failed to do so, that I'm from Jonesboro, Tennessee, the oldest town in Tennessee. So what you all do to help us preserve that history is extremely valuable. Thank you.
And that there is
Is
one of
anyone-
our state
Yeah.
historic sites there that is the Chester Inn that we
Yes.
recently just spent thousands and thousands of dollars on preserving the windows so that they're accurately correct to preserve history for future generations of Tennessee. And thank you for that recognition.
Thank you, Leader.
Do we have any more questions for our guest? If not, I thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you.
today.
Thank you for having me, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for your
Thank you.
consideration.
And we'll go back into session. Do we have any more questions for Chairman Reagan? Do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Members, let me clear up something for you. We're not changing the mission. We're not changing the qualifications required. The members can be reappointed. There is nothing in this bill that says the current membership can't come back on, just that the appointing authority has to change. Now, as many of you know, some sit on the Government Operations Committee with me, we have 265 boards and agencies that come before that committee. This is one. We recently extended them. This is not an attack on them. This is about the balance of power. The governor appoints every one of them. Now, our governor, our current governor, and the one prior, mighty fine people. There's nothing to say it's going to stay that way. That said, in our Constitution, our powers are definitely divided among the three branches of government. And I would maintain to you that what was presented to you doesn't need to change. We're not talking about doing away with the commission. We're merely talking about doing away with the single source appointment for all of them. The idea being that the legislature should have a say in this fight. It is our state as much as it's the governor's. And we, especially the House of Representatives, sit much closer to the people. We run every 2 years, as all of you know. We get the direct input. And therefore, I can submit to you in good faith that what the commission does is fine. I have no criticism. I'm not criticizing anybody on there. And as was pointed out, I wrote letters of recommendation for one. I have no problem with that. This is not a vendetta for anybody on the commission. This is about a government structure issue, pure and simple. Again, let me stress, not a criticism of the Historical Commission. It's about how the board is structured, straightforwardly. And I would ask that you support this. The good lady here has voiced support for that. Need not change. Everything they've done is fine. I'm not quarreling with it. But somewhere, we need to, as a body, assert the fact that we have a part in this government. We write the laws. The executive branch enforces them. When they're appointing all the membership on a commission, they have control. And I would submit to you, that's not the way our system should work. That should be spread about. And with that, I stand ready to answer other questions.
I think we have a question from Chairman Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman Reagan, I know you say that the board could be reappointed, but is there a possibility that we would have a completely new commission?
The appointing authority in the case of the governor, the Senate, and the House is there. The bill does not specify you have to change anybody. It doesn't specify you can't.
Right, but
You're recognized.
I think my question is there a possibility that we could have all new faces?
You're recognized.
Well, certainly by virtue of the fact that we are changing the structure, that's a possibility. It need not be reality.
Are there other commissions out there that are solely appointed by the governor or?
I'm glad you asked that.
Well, thank you.
The answer is some, yes. We have been carrying bills like this for years now, changing the structure on a number of those boards to make them more balanced. This is one in a continuing effort.
How many would you estimate that we have besides this one?
Well, I killed that brain cell in the bar, I'm sorry.
I mean, just a rough guess.
A structure like this one, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I can remember, I think, at least a half a dozen that I've been involved with in that, but I wouldn't ask you to quote me on that because, like I said, that was in a brain cell. I shot the penguin.
Yeah, I've been there. I think I may be there now. Is it your intent to do this with the other ones that?
As long as I can, yes, sir.
Okay.
I've read our state constitution. I firmly believe that the separation of powers is real, and we need to be doing it.
And I think you said that the board or the commission now is doing a good job.
I have no complaint. That's not the issue. Is not what they're doing. The issue is the structure.
Yeah, and of the commission members that I know and have dealt with, I'll have to say they have a real passion and dedication to preserving the history of Tennessee, and that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Next up, we have Chairman Kiesling.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Chairman, when we start down the list, so we got three that are going to be appointed each grand division by the Speaker of the House, Senate Speaker, and also the governor now. But each have two at-large members. Now, sort of Okay. So that means that'll be a total of obviously 15. Those two at large, help me understand the definition at large here in this aspect.
The idea here is that by insisting we get one from each grand
Yeah.
division, we have geographic representation. I left the at-large in there to ensure that the appointing authorities have the ability to get the proper academic requirements, the proper credentials. And by the way, the bill specifies that. No change in that, by the way. So the idea, again, the board's duties and composition is not the issue here. The issue straightforwardly is, like I said, structure.
Okay. Thanks, Chair Lady. Chair Lady Williams pointed out that I think I understood her to say that none are salaried in that matter, and that applies here because obviously so, because looking at I see no fiscal note other than what $5,300, and what would that specifically be for it? I haven't had time to read that, Chairman.
Well, there's obviously going to have to be some administrative
Yes,
changes.
of course, and I understand.
That's what is involved. in
That's
that.
all it is. Then. Okay. Would these members be paid mileage to and from meetings?
They get nothing changes. It's
Nothing.
exactly what it is that now.
Finally, Chair Lady, my final question would be: we're dropping it. Okay, and this is proposing from 24 down to 20. Why not 24? Why not staying with that same? Why not staying with that same number, existing number?
It was easier to have an odd number on there with each section having five apiece.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair Lady. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chairman.
Next, we have Representative Dixie.
Thank you, Chair Lady. I got a quick question. What's the current makeup of the commission by grand division right now?
I would invite the chair lady you heard from to come up and answer that.
We'll go out of session, and please come back. We have Dorita Williams. Please state your name for the record and who you're with.
Dorita Coleman Williams, the chairman of the Tennessee Historical Commission from Shelby County and Montgomery County. The question, again, we restate it so I make sure I understand it.
What's the current makeup of the commission by grand division?
There's 24 appointed members, and there are 8 from each grand division.
Okay, so I would.
And then the ex officio members are the state historian, the state library and archivist, the state archaeologist, Tennessee, TDEC's representative, commissioner's representative, and the governor's representative. So there's a total of 29 members.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
No, but I would like to.
You have another question?
For the sponsor.
For the sponsor. Okay, thank you. We'll go back into session. Representative Dixie, you're recognized to ask Chairman Reagan.
I guess we found out that, they have, I think each grand division is represented, and you said a balance of power, and I'm not sure what balance of power. I guess you're just meaning. I don't want to guess. I won't put words in your mouth, but I'm assuming that you mean by the appointing power. But it appears that each grand division is represented in a pretty good manner right now by pretty good people. So, can you elaborate on that? Like when you say balance of power, what exactly does that mean?
I was referring to the concept in our state constitution, where we have the legislative and the executive branches with separate duties and functions. And one thing that was neglected there was who all gets to vote. Right now, the majority of the people that vote are, in fact, either working for the governor or appointed by the governor. There's nobody else there. Under this situation, there would at least be the opportunity for the voting membership not to be tied to the governor.
You're recognized.
Yeah, I promise this last
That's
question.
fine.
Along the lines of what my colleague from Montgomery County spoke of in taking your comment just then, that means that basically we would have a new board of new people.
You're recognized.
No. You can, let's assume that our deputy speaker was delegated to be an appointing authority. He can appoint some of the same people that are on there if he chooses. That the appointing authority does not have to change the personnel. That's not in the bill.
I'm gonna stick to my guns. I said that was my last question.
That's your last question? Okay. Next, we have Representative Eldridge.
So this will be in effect in July 1, and the current members, are they, I know it says down here that they're reappointed every 5 years, is that correct? Is that currently the way it's done? It is, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So nothing's changing there as far as the reappointments or anything like that,
No, the bill specifies a staggered
staggered terms?
terms just to get the new board in place. So that a whole new board is not appointed all at once. And again, this bill does not specify you can't reappoint people. Feel free to do it, kind of thing. It's the source of the appointments this bill is going for.
Okay.
Yes, Representative Alexander.
Okay. First of all, sponsor, you know, I don't know that I've ever gone against you on a bill at all. It's hard for me to do that. I highly, highly respect you, and you know
Sure.
that.
I respect you as well.
No, I know you do. What I had a question about is, a few minutes ago, you mentioned something about the, most of the people were employed by the governor or work for the governor, or they're on the commission, but they also have a job with the governor?
The ex officio members that under this bill are, in fact, the current people that sit on it. You heard her mention the ones that from TDEC and several other places that are in fact employees of the executive branch. They work for the governor.
Okay, got it. I just wanted to make sure I understood that we were talking about the same thing. Okay, thank you very much.
Do we have any more questions for our sponsor?
Madam, one point of
Yes,
clarification.
yes.
Under this bill, those would not be voting members. They would still be a member of the board providing advice and expertise, but they wouldn't be voting.
Are there any more questions? Are we ready to vote? Question's been called. All in favor, please say aye. No? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. Thank you for the discussion. I still respect you.
This moves on to full committee. And if you want to be recorded as to no, please, as a no, let our secretary know. Next up, is item number 9, and that's House Bill 1319 by Chairman Kumar, and that has been rolled for 1 week. Next, we have item number 10, which is House Bill 734 by Chairman Rudd. Do we have is Chairman Rudd in here? Motion. Yeah, there he is, yeah. Do we have a motion and a second? Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second, and there's no amendments filed. Chairman, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Committee. This was a bill brought to me by Senator Wally, and it is a very simple bill. It's to ensure fairness, access to records. It does not change. The bill is enacted, will not have any additional burden to the custodian of records. The law should not change the current practice of the custodian of records. The law merely codifies that all people, all citizens and groups who seek access to records, such as copies, are to be treated the same with equal access and charged the same. And that's what it does. Other than that, it does not change the law. It's just guaranteeing equal access to records and that everyone's to be treated the same and put in the order that they request and charged the same for their copies.
Do we have any questions for our sponsor? Question's been called. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. You move on to a full committee. Item number 11, which is House Bill 718 by Representative Sparks, has been rolled for 1 week. Item number 12, which is House Bill 707 by Chairman Doggett, has also been rolled for 1 week. Item number 13, House Bill 350 by Representative Hardaway will be rolled to the Hill. Yep. Okay. Okay. We're going to go back to item number 7, which is House Bill 449 by Representative Davis. Do I have a motion and a second? We have an amendment. You have an amendment on your bill?
Yes, Chair Lady, I do.
Could you give me that drafting code?
Yes, ma'am. It is 5143, and it makes the bill.
Do I have a motion and a second on this amendment? We're going to put the amendment on the bill. We got to vote on it first. Okay. All in favor? I'm trying to get through by 5:30. No. So all in favor of putting this amendment on the bill, please say aye. Those opposed? Now the amendment's on the bill.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You are welcome to explain your bill.
Yes, ma'am. And so this is a permissive bill which allows for any sort of governmental body that would like to be able to use a website to put their public notices on, notice their meetings. And I appreciate your indulgence last week in rolling this bill for me to allow for adding an amendment that what we did was we added it to say that if a government body is required to respond to a request, a hard copy request, that if they feel that someone is requesting that in bad faith, that they don't have to comply with that. But essentially what we're doing is we're allowing folks to utilize a website for public notices, and if they have an email list or an e-newsletter that a citizen may want to opt into and participate in, we're just wanting to make sure that folks have access to information.
Do we have any questions for our sponsor? Chairman Kiesling.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Let's go back, sponsor, to the term bad faith. Explain that a little bit deeper for me. Could you, in perspective, please?
Yes, sir. So if there is a concern by that governmental body that they have people that are calling in to request hard copies in order to create a huge expense for that governmental body, that it's not that they're interested in being noticed or being made aware of the notification of that meeting, they're interested in being malicious, that they have the ability then to not have to comply with that sort of actor that's acting in bad faith.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Well, higher ed has heartburn over this, and I think you know that. If we have okay, and you've explained the bad faith, I get it. Would you entertain the thought of how many? Let me pause just a second here.
Yes, sir.
Turn back to you, Chair. When is our final calendar?
The 3 weeks.
I'm sorry?
It's in 3 weeks? 2
Oh,
weeks.
well,
2 weeks.
okay.
2 weeks.
Would you be opposed to an amendment that would specifically take out higher ed then on this? And it's your it's up to you. Whatever.
No, I don't have any objection to that, sir, whatsoever. we're just wanting to make sure that people have the ability to have access to information, and we're wanting those governmental bodies to be able to utilize and modernize the way that they can submit that information. And so if there are concerns with regard to that, I don't have any problems
Yeah,
with
well,
that
I'm-
whatsoever.
You're
Yeah,
recognized.
thank you, Chair. Yeah, and I'm hearing that, and I really appreciate that you would consider it, and I wouldn't have a problem moving it with your assurance. I wouldn't have a bit of problem, members moving it on out. I would support it, and we can get it on into the full, and then expect an amendment then. But
Thank you, Chair.
thank you for your.
I would need to defer to Matt. You know, I don't want to make him. Are you? Make sure he's not too busy. But no, I have no problem with that
You'll find
whatsoever.
time. He's too busy. Too busy.
No, I don't have any problem with that whatsoever, Chair.
Thank you so much, and that concludes my line of questions.
Okay.
Chair Lady, thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have any more comment? Okay.
If anyone
Any
has
more
any other
questions? Oh, yes, Eldred. Okay. Representative Eldred?
You know, it says here that, you know, you can receive a hard copy by regular mail.
Yes, sir.
Is that anywhere? I mean,
Well,
I mean,
so if you're going to if we're talking about governmental bodies in Tennessee and somebody from California is wanting the hard copy, then that can kind of probably fall under bad faith, because I don't know that they're going to be attending some of those
Okay,
meetings.
yeah.
So, you know, you can probably use your discretion.
I can just see, I'm sorry, Chair Lady, but, okay. I can just see, and, you know, and I've got some of those bad faith people on open records requests from county offices up there. They'll call in, they'll ask for 200 pages. They don't want to pay for it, and they'll come in there and they'll pick out 8 pages out of that 200, and the rest of it goes in the trash. So those folks exist. And I just don't want to see us get into something where these folks are going to start having it mailed to their house instead of them having to come up there and actually pick it up. And honestly, I think that if they request 200 pages, they ought to pay for 200 pages. So
I agree. Well, this is just with respect to notice of a meeting. So it would just be 1 page.
okay, all right.
I mean,
Thank you.
thank you.
I want to go out of session for just a minute. Legal has a comment.
Okay, thank you.
Matt Mundy for the record from legal. I just wanted to clarify something for the record, just in case it might help alleviate some of the concerns about the cost we've been talking a lot about. The mechanism that the governmental body has to establish for the purposes of providing notices or e-newsletters uses a conjunction. They either have to provide a mechanism to provide it by electronic mail or a hard copy by mail. It doesn't require them to do both. We're not using and. So if they just want to have a response mechanism to do it by electronic means, it doesn't mean they're bound to send out mailed hard copies for every single notice.
We'll go back into session. Do we have any more go ahead.
Just for clarification
Sure.
for that, thank you, Chair. So we put that in there just in the off chance that someone doesn't have access to the internet. So that way it would be kind of a safety net for somebody that actually truly did want to be notified, but didn't have that capability of being able to access the internet. So that's why I included that.
Any more questions? Are we ready to vote? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, and your bill moves on to full committee.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
We're going to go back to item number 3, which is HJR 45 by Representative Ritchie. Do I have a motion and a second? Representative Ritchie, you have a motion and a second, and you have an amendment. Could you give me your code?
Yes, Chair Lady. Thank you. Code 4129.
If there's no objection, Okay, and if there's, is there a second on this amendment? A second motion? Okay. If there's no objections, you'll go ahead and get this amendment on the bill. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The amendment goes on the bill. Representative Ritchie.
Thank you, Chair Lady. HJR 45 as amended, what this will end up doing is start the constitutional amending process for the Tennessee State Constitution. Currently, Tennessee State Governor is limited to 2 consecutive 4-year terms. And the example is Governor Haslam could come back in and run in 2026 should he decide that he wanted to put his name on the ballot, and Governor Lee could come back afterwards, and they could just keep rotating until one of them passes away many decades down the road. So what this will end up doing is putting an actual 8-year term limit on the governor's seat to where they can serve no more than 8 years, and put that in the Constitution. And then it also puts 16-year term limits on the General Assembly, the legislature here, which would end up putting 16 years in the House of Representatives and 16 years in the State Senate as well. That's not added in accumulation. So somebody could serve 16 years in the House, they could still serve 16 years over in the Senate. And this ends up putting the 16-year term, it would be the longest term limit in any of the legislatures that have term limits in place, or 16 states that have term limits in place currently. Tennessee does not have that for the General Assembly. This would just put us as the longest as far as for on there. And I'm available for any questions. Thank you, Chair Lady.
Why 16 years, did you say? Did you say why 16 years?
No, so before I amended, we put 16 because we were looking at judges as well, and judges are elected for 8-year terms, so it was either 8, 16, or 24, so 16 was where we were at. So with this amendment, it eliminated all other positions, and this would only address governor and the General Assembly, the legislature up here.
Do we have any questions for our sponsor? Yes, Representative Alexander.
So it does not affect judges now? Is that what you're saying? With the amendment, it does not?
Recognize.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Correct. So all this is as amended, it only addresses the governor, state senate, and House of Representatives. So the legislature and the governor's offices are the only ones that are impacted by this constitutional amendment as amended. So it eliminated everybody at the entire local level. There's no appointed individuals on here. It is just 3 positions: House of Representatives, for our seat, our state senate, and then for the governor are the only 3 that's impacted.
And did you say that you could be in the State House for 16 years and then go to the Senate and be in the State Senate for 16 years, even with this amendment?
Correct. Even with
Okay.
this amendment, somebody could still serve 32 years in the General Assembly.
Representative Eldridge.
Thank you.
I guess my question is that, and I, I'm signed on to congressional term limits. I support congressional term limits because to me, that becomes a job. It becomes a full-time job, and I think after a while, and this is just my opinion here, I think they become detached from the people they actually represent. But my thoughts about the House of Representatives here and even the Senate, we're not full-time representatives. We don't live in Washington, D.C. We live, in my case, I live in Morristown. I shop in the same stores that the people that elect me, go to. I'm right there, and they either know whether they like what I'm doing or they don't. And in 2 years, if I don't perform up to their expectations down here, then they have the ability to get rid of me. And I'm glad you took out some of the officers, like the county clerks and stuff like that, because, those folks need to know what they're doing. And I do believe that this is something that we need to get down here and stay in. But I also don't I also don't feel like that this is not a full-time job. We've all got other jobs. We go to work, you know, I'm kind of halfway retired, but I'm out all the time. We've all got other businesses. We're right there in our communities where, they know if we pass something down here they don't like, they can get rid of us. And they got, 2 years and we're done. And I just don't know that, I don't see it as the same as the congressional term limits from the standpoint that those folks end up moving to Washington, D.C. a lot of times. They keep a home here, I'm sure, but we don't see them that often, or I don't. My senators, I don't see them hardly at all. I'm a little closer to the Congress people up there, but we're right there in town. We're right there, at the Kiwanis Club. We're there. And again, if we do something down here that they don't care for, or we support something that my people back home don't like, if I support it, they're gonna get rid of me. So, but I won't be able to support your bill, but I understand where you're coming from too, but I see these as two different groups. If our senators and Congress people in Washington, D.C. were back home every summer and they had to meet the folks up there in our communities, I'd be okay with it, because they'd face the same thing that we do. I think, what was it, 100% of the U.S. Congress and Senate was voted back into office at the midterms? Did I read that correctly somewhere? Yeah. So it doesn't happen here. There's turnover. You're standing there because somebody else is not. So that's my take on the bill. And I think you do a great job, and I'm proud that you're here, but I just won't be able to hang with you on this one. Okay? Thank you, Chair Lee.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Ritchie, what's the average term of the members of the House at present?
7 years.
7 years.
So this is double the average term.
That's what I was thinking 6, but it's 7. What about the Senate?
Did not pull it up on the Senate.
7 years, to me, that shows that the people, if you're doing a good job, they want you to stay. And if you're not, they'll show you the way to get back home. And I'm going to talk about my good friend, Chairman Kiesling, for just a minute. I've served with him a long time. And as far as constituent services, and we are all interested in constituent services, but I guarantee you there's none of us that can outdo Chairman Kiesling. So how would you like to go to his district and say he can't come back because he's been here 16 years?
I started the same time he did. And Kyle, your friend too?
Well, that's all I have, Matt.
Representative Ritchie.
Thank you, Chair Lady. So it's not me putting 16-year term limits. Constitutional amendment's got to pass 50% and then 2/3, and then the citizens of the state would end up having to vote on it. So there would be individuals in Chairman Kiesling's district that would be voting for that right there. It would be what I would end up saying on that. And this is something that polls in the high 70% as far as for term limits. And the reason why I brought it is folks in my district, when I was out knocking on pile loaded doors to be able to come down here, they shared that when they talked about term limits, I said, yeah, absolutely, I'm in favor of term limits. We need to make sure that we're getting those folks up there in D.C. aren't staying forever. They said, no, term limits for everybody. So when I'm knocking on doors, it wasn't just that they're looking at D.C. As I knocked on doors, they're wanting term limits on everybody from the President of the United States all the way down to if a community has a dog walker. And I think that was the example that I'd shared with legal whenever we started drafting this up, is let's incorporate everybody, because that was what was shared with me back in the district.
Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I had kind of communicated with you a little bit on this before. I go along a lot with my friend from Morristown. He and I were thinking about the same thing, and I'm on the U.S. term limit. Signed on to that bill and everything too, because I think a lot of times in Congress in Washington that they kind of go in a bubble. They kind of get away from us. We don't keep in touch with them, and they've got 750,000 people to represent. They're gone all the time, but the founders did not put term limits in because they wanted, back then people just had it was a part-time job, even in Congress. When our country was founded, they all had another job, whether a lawyer or a businessman or a farmer or whatever they might have been. And so the term limits that I'm for is like my friend from Morristown. If I can wave a magic wand right now and change Washington, what I would do is I would cut their pay in half, and I would send them home half the year. At the end of June the 30th, they'd have to come back, and they'd have to go to church and go to Walmart and go to all these other places like we do, and have to hear everybody complain about the roads or whatever it might be. And but we are in touch. I'm out there. We're in meetings and in our district all the time, and that's why I think that they can get rid of us like that we were talking about a while ago. They can get rid of us like that, and they know who we are. They know how we vote. They know what we do. And when we look at term limits, we look at the people, and the people I talk to are the ones in Washington that they think that, hey, they get up there for a long period of time. They have a war chest. We don't usually have a war chest. I don't anyway. They have a war chest. You can't win. They'll have millions of dollars in the bank. You can't beat them. So they continue to get reelected at a very high rate, like 94, 95%. And that doesn't happen down here because we're all part-time. We all got another job, or we're all retired or whatever, but we're out there in the district every day. I know you do it too, but I have things every weekend, that I'd like to stay at home, but I'm out in the district going to a meeting or going to an event or something like that. And so that's why I just think we all need to be part-time legislators, and I think that would solve the problem. I think it'd solve the problem in Washington if they were part-time too. So that's why I'm not going to be able to support the bill either, because I think I believe in part-time people that are working, that are doing their job. And I think then, like James Madison said when he was talking about term limits, and he was just talking about, he said that he wrote the term limits might actually lead, now of course these were all part-time jobs back then, might lead to government dysfunction. He wrote that frequent elections were a better check on power than forcing legislators out of office by law. That's James Madison, one of the founders of our country. So anyway, that goes back to where I think you do a great job, and I agree with you on 99% of the things, and I do agree on congressional term limits. But down here, we're all part-time, and I think it takes care of itself. Thank you.
Representative Eldridge.
The only thing that I'd like to add is probably our wives and husbands would vote for this bill and all. So if you have some consolation there, they would probably vote for it. But thank you. Thank you, Chair Lady.
Do you have any closing remarks?
I would just say that wives and husbands, and according to the polls, 75 to 80% of the population.
Are we ready to vote? Or if there is not any more questions, are we ready to vote? Okay. Question's been called. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Okay. You can take it back.
Thank you, Chairman Eldridge.
All opposed? No. Okay. All opposed? No. No. Is anybody joining me with all opposed? We've already said we're voting on this bill. Is anybody in favor of this bill? And we had an aye. And is anyone opposed? Say no. No. The noes have it.
Thank you, Chair,
Your
Lady,
bill
and Committee.
fails. This is the bad news bears right now. Okay, now we're going to take up. We're going to take up House Bill. Let me see, 13, House Bill 350 by Representative Hardaway. You have a motion and a second. There's no amendments filed, and Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I'm hoping this is not the last meeting because I have amendments that I need to put on all three of my bills, as a matter of fact.
It is not the last
right.
calendar.
Well, I'm going to try to accommodate the wishes of my good friend Curtis Johnson and be brief. I'd like to roll this bill.
You want to House Bill 350. You want to roll 1 week?
Yes, ma'am. That should be adequate. That'll give me time
Do we have any objections?
to browbeat Curtis Johnson into supporting it.
Okay. We're going to roll this bill, House Bill 350, for 1 week. You're also recognized on item 14, which is House Bill 1521.
The same thing, Madam Chair.
Okay, you want to roll this for 1 week?
Yes,
What
ma'am.
do we need a motion and a second on this for him to be able to roll? Okay, without objections, we're also going to roll this House Bill 1521 for 1 week. Roll for 1 week. Okay, let me see. You're also up on item number 15, which is House Bill 1523.
Yes, ma'am. Waiting for an amendment from my Senate sponsor on that one.
Without objection, we'll roll House Bill 1523 for 1 week.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I enjoyed spending time with you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looking forward to sharing more time with you next time.
House Bill, item number 16, House Bill 135 by Chairman Hastings. He is in another committee and can't make it today, so we're going to roll this bill. He can still, oh, yeah, I guess he could still make it. There he is, you're here. Okay, motion, do we have a second? Do we have a second? We got a motion and a second. We're tired. There is no, okay, we have a motion and a second. There are no amendments filed, and Chairman, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you. We were trying to keep an eye on it while we were in K-12 there. So what this bill does is would add our Tennessee State Park Rangers to the same retirement package as their fellow state officers. This would mean Tennessee State Park Rangers would be eligible to retire on service retirement benefits upon attainment of age 55 with 25 years of service. Currently, it's 60 years eligibility with 30 years of service is the current standing. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for our sponsor? Seeing none, are we okay. Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Thank you for this bill. Our park rangers do so much. I mean, who defended the Capitol? They were here. It's constant, and for them not to have been given the same retirement package is crazy. So thank you so much for bringing this.
Thank you for that.
Yes, Representative Dixie.
Quick question. Oh, so when we give the state employees raises, they're not included in that? I know one has nothing to do with the other, but I was just curious.
Thank you. It's my understanding that they are considered state employees for that. It's a little bit similar to how teachers a lot of times are state employees, but they're not on the same state's benefits package. So there's some gray areas there where you are a state employee, but not everything lines up exactly the way with other state employees.
Thank you.
Any more questions for our sponsor? Seeing none, are we ready to vote? Question's been called. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and you move on to full committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
You're welcome. Okay. Next, we have item number 17, which is House Bill 694 by Representative Fritz, and that has been rolled for 1 week. Also, we have item number 18, House Bill 1208 by Representative Dixie. That has also been rolled for 1 week. That is the end of our calendar, and with, do I have a motion for us to adjourn? Thank you. We are adjourned.